Hey guys, so welcome once again to Cooking with Indian. This is, as you all could see, the new format. Film looking a little nice, a little different and stuff like that. So this is the progression of the thing, right? So hot day in Trinidad today, and coming around the corner is Eid celebrations, if you didn't know. And one of the big things for Eid for the Muslim community is making Sawine, which is the sweet delicacy. So that's what we're going to be doing today, right? So ingredients, we have pack of vermicelli. This one is 800 grams here. We usually make a lot, so that goes to show. Pack of raisins, any kind of raisins would do. This one is what, golden raisins, so we're going to use that. We have some condensed milk and milk. We have some cardamom. This is going to be for the other part of the sawine. Then we have some almonds, and we have some maraschino cherries. These we'll use as toppings to finish off the entire thing, right? So let's get started. The first thing that you want to do is start by crushing the vermicelli. So as you all see, I have Mom here with me again, so Mom is going to be doing that part of the process. Actually, Mom is going to be doing the majority of it again because this is her specialty. This is not my specialty. Right, and basically you're just breaking down the vermicelli because it's all like long strands. It's almost like getting a pack of rice noodles. Rice noodles is long strands. So you want to break it down and make sure it's in like 1 or 2 inch, strands that you have there. Manageable for eating and putting in a small dish, that kind of thing, yeah? In case you all were wondering, this was just half the pack here. She already did the first half, right? So for those of you all who know me, you all would know this already, but for those of you all who don't, Mom is a Roman Catholic, but Dad is a Muslim. So that's why we tend to do things, both on both sides. So we'll do pastel when Christmas comes around, and we'll do sawine for Eid, and Mom learned to cook curry and make roti from my grandmother. So typical of Trinidad and Tobago, you know what I mean? Alright, so this is the full amount of vermicelli that we have here. So we're going to move from this to the next step, which is going to be parching before we do anything else. So let's go. Right, so we're moving on to the next step, which is parching, right? So we have our metal pot hot on the best burner on the stove, basically. And what Mom is doing is she's taking a little bit of the oil, putting it on a napkin, and she's going to grease the pot. So basically what parching is typically, like, let's say if you're making a risotto or you're making something that you want to bring out the nutty flavor of, if it's a pasta or rice or something like that, usually you would give it like a light saute in oil in a pot or skillet like that to bring out the flavor. Parching is kind of the same thing. So what we're going to do is put the vermicelli in there, and we're going to saute it almost. The oil on the pot is really to prevent it from sticking, and we're going to parch it. So you're going to get a nice little brown color, a nice dark brown color out of it. So this is what the process looks like. When this is done, then we're going to move on to the next step. Right, so while the parching is happening, we have our kettle on the boil. This is integral for the next step because we need to cook the vermicelli after it's parched. So step 2, step 3. Right, so Mom's still parching it back there. So in the meantime, I'll get ready with some of the other steps, right? So this is the almonds that we're going to use for the topping. What you want to do with the almonds is you want to chop them up. Now you could do it by hand, of course, but I have a food processor here, so might as well use the food processor. And how you want to have the almonds, or how I actually prefer to have the almonds, is that they're not pulverized, they're not like dust. You do them chopped small enough that they're not too cumbersome, but large enough that you get the crunch of the texture. So we're just crushing these up. Alright, crush a little more. Alright, and we have our crushed almonds here. What I would probably do is like go over them with a knife just so that any of the big chunks will just get chopped up a little bit more. And the second thing we're going to do now is we're going to crush the cardamom a bit, right? So cardamom is like an essential spice that you'd use in Indian cooking for both sweet and savory. So like you'd find it in biryani rice, as well as you'd find it in stuff like this, parsad, whatnot, barfi. So we just want to crush this because this is going to go in the milk. That's one of the last steps we're going to do, and we're going to steep the milk with the cardamom. Alright. So essentially with the cardamom, you pulverize it so that when it steeps, it would release a little bit more. While it's in the seeds, you're not going to get as much flavor from it. Right, and after you're done with that, and you steep the milk with the cardamom seeds, you're gonna just strain the milk, right? But we'll get onto that when we reach that part. That's that for now. Mom's still parching, so I could probably go on to doing some more toppings, which will be the cherry. I'll need to get a knife for this though. And well, for the maraschino cherry, just a rough chop will do. So we'll probably end up doing the whole bottle, but of course, as I said, just a rough chop, so nothing too fancy, just, you know, as I said, small enough that it's not, you know, it's not too cumbersome to eat. It's not going to be overpowering, because you're not going to put a whole bunch of maraschino cherries. I mean, this is kind of an optional topping as well. We usually have it, but if you like maraschino cherries, you could use it. If you don't, it's fine. I just think a little teaspoonful or whatever is nice to go along with the flavors. It adds a nice different balance, a different type of sweetness. Some people actually use dry fruit as well too. I'm not a fan of dry fruit, like, you know, the dry pawpaw and stuff like that. I prefer this. So we'll go ahead and continue chopping the entire bottle of cherry, and we'll come back for the next step. Right, so we're back at the stove again. Vermicelli is fully parched, as you could see, has a nice brown color here. Right, Mom? Yeah. So the pot is on medium heat. This is the part where we start cooking the vermicelli. So we have our hot water here, not necessarily boiling, but hot. Now when you're doing this step, you have your hot water, you have your pot on medium heat. You should always have a jug of cold water standing by. Reason being, let's say you're blanching vegetables, same idea, same process. So it's almost like you're blanching the vermicelli noodles, because they are so tender. The hot water tends to cook it really quickly. Sometimes it might cook it too fast, or sometimes it's cooked and you just need to stop the cooking immediately. You use the cold water to slow down the cooking process. So we have our cold water on standby here. As you can see, Mom is adding water a little bit at a time. How you'll know how much water is good enough, Mom?
Well, I usually like it to be looking as if you're making a palaw, you know, just a little extra water when you dip the spoon in.
Okay.
You know, you're still seeing a little water.
And you cook it like if you're making pasta, you check to see how tender it is as you go along.
Yes. Right? As this is so fine,
it'll cook fast.
It'll cook very fast.
Okay. We ready to go in with the other stuff as yet?
Not yet, not yet. Let me just, sometimes I just take a little taste to see. Oh, look at it, you see?
Alright.
Not as yet.
Not as yet, so. Alright, so still a little bit more cooking, a little bit more water. Also in this process, we're going to be adding about 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. Reason being, same again like if you're cooking pasta, you usually have the water salty so that the pasta absorbs the salt, so it gives it extra flavor. Basically the same principle. So instead, because this is a sweet dish and not a savory dish, the vermicelli needs to absorb that flavor of the sugar, so we use the brown sugar in the hot water, and it's going to give it that flavor, that extra something that it needs now. Right, so as you guys could see, the vermicelli is starting to swell because it's absorbing the water. You're gonna add the cinnamon into it one time. As you can see, it's about 5 or 6 cinnamon sticks. They are broken up. Actually 5 or 6 pieces. It might actually be about 3 cinnamon sticks broken up. And we put it in, we mix it. That's gonna kind of steepen the water that is in the vermicelli right now. Basically, the texture of the vermicelli is going to end up being just beyond al dente, what you would do for pasta. So it's not going to be too soft that it gets mushy, but it's not going to be hard like a typical spaghetti or anything like that, right? So we have the cinnamon there. We're going to add some raisins now. Raisins for me is optional. I'm not a fan of raisins in sawine, but strangely enough, I like raisins in certain things. Like I don't mind raisins in pastel or raisins in Spanish rice or stuff like that, but for some reason raisins in sawine is not my favorite, but I'll tolerate it. I'll just do this one for you all. If you all don't like raisins in sawine or don't like raisins in general, feel free to omit it as well. All right,
should be good now.
what about your brown sugar?
Yeah. 2 pot spoons.
Nice. Alright, and you just mix that in until it's fully incorporated. By this time, Mom took off the burner, so it's not on any heat at all. It's just residual heat that's cooking it through. So you're gonna just stir it until the sugar is dissolved into this this mixture here. And it should be fine.
Yep.
You're gonna add any cold water to this now?
Just give it a test it and see. You wanna test it? It's cooked?
Yeah.
Okay, let's add some cold water so it will stop the cooking. Good. And that's it.
Right, so quick tip with regards to the vermicelli. After Mom added the water and she started, the cold water that is, and started cooling it down, instead of waterlogging it with cold water, she took about 8 ice cubes and she put it in there to melt. So that is going to essentially do the same thing that the cold water would do. Instead, she wouldn't have to keep adding. She put the ice blocks and just let it melt. It will go all the way through, and every now and then give it a stir, and I'll just let it go through the whole mixture, right? What we're going to do now is move on to the milk. So I have a pot, not necessarily a heavy pot, but a pot on the fire, and we're going to steep the milk. So we're starting with the 1 liter full cream milk here. We're going to add the cardamom that we crushed earlier, and we could leave this now. We could turn this heat up and let it come almost to the boil. So when you see it start to bubble, then you could turn it back down again, because essentially, as I said, you want to get it to steep. So it's almost the same thing as making tea. You want the flavor of the cardamom to come out, and the heat is what brings out the flavor. The other part of it is that we're going to add condensed milk. Now, that part is all due to your own taste. Now just remember, the vermicelli has sugar in it. The maraschino cherries are sweet. There's a lot of sweet elements, so instead of putting a lot of sweet, you want to balance it out. So I tend to go for mildly sweet milk. So you might not use the entire can of condensed milk. You might use 3/4, you might use half. It's all up to you. So you would have to be able to gauge it and say what is sweet enough for you. But after we get it to boil, we get the sweetness in, we're going to strain the entire mixture, and then we're going to move on to the next part. Alright, so we are into the final step. So after our milk was steeped, we turn off the fire, we let it cool down in the pot. You could transfer it to something else to cool down if you want, or if I left it there, it was fine. Continue to steep even more so it has plenty flavor from the cardamom. And now we're going to strain it into a jug. Alright, so this is pretty much coming down to the finale of the product. So as soon as we finish straining this here, we can start building our Sawine, right? So we have the transferred vermicelli here. So I'll go ahead and start spooning these into glasses. Don't want to fill it too much. You probably could remove the cinnamon as you go along. You just put in almost a half of the glass there. Don't mind it looking messy earlier. Right. Could give these a wipe for me, Mama. Then we're gonna pour our milk. You wanna go ahead and pour the milk out? Put some more. I put in so a little bit.
Yes.
Go more. Right. And our toppings, our garnish. A little teaspoon of maraschino cherry. And finally, our chopped almonds on the top. And that's yours, and that's mine. And you could mix it up if you want, you know. Before you eat it, you'll get a lot of all the different flavors, and the maraschino cherry tends to bleed off into the milk. It gives it another little flavor as well. And well, of course, what do you think?
Delicious.
So you could have it however you want. It's up to your own discretion. Mom likes it cold, I like it hot. My grandmother used to eat it hot as well. But yeah, as I said, it's up to your own discretion however you want to enjoy it. And that's it for us. So cooking with Indian, Sawine, and from my family to yours, Eid Mubarak.